Hi everyone, and welcome to Face the Future's Skincare and Beyond podcast. I'm Julia Barker-Thompson, one of the directors here at Face the Future, and today I'm joined by the lovely Dr Gaby Prinsloo. She is the medical director at Double IAA, and for anybody that's not heard of Double IAA, it stands for the International Institute for Active Aging. So you have a really impressive background, don't you, Dr Gaby? You have worked in general practice and in emergency medicine. You've got a PhD in exercise science, and actually you've been published in loads of scientific journals. So I'm really excited about this conversation, and thank you so much for joining us.
Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's okay. So today we're going to talk about the link between the gut and skin, which is often referred to as the skin-gut axis. We're going to also talk about how the microbiome affects skin health. We're going to talk about supplements and advanced nutrition program, which is one of Double IAA's brands. And then hopefully as well, we'll also be talking about the future of this really, really exciting topic. So let's get started.
Sounds perfect.
Brilliant. So before we do, just tell me and the listeners a little bit about you, and then also about your role at Double IAA.
It's quite diverse. There's lots to keep me on my toes and to keep me interested. I'm involved in all of our new product development, which is really exciting. So all of our advanced nutrition program products, I'm involved in the design and the testing, and really exciting because we get to make products that I actually want to use. I head up our Skin Health Research Center. So I keep an eye on all of our research, designing the trials, overseeing the testing, interpreting the results, looking at how we're going to use that information in marketing and moving forward. And then I also have a big role in education, which is my great love, teaching. So I get to talk internationally and locally at various conferences and trade shows, do podcasts, do various talks. So It's interesting and diverse.
Oh, fabulous. So I've just mentioned some of the key highlights in terms of your career and what you've done. Was there a key moment or key turning point that made you think, actually, I want to be in the industry where I'm involved in, nutrition and skin health?
My career has been a little bit of an evolution. So I started off studying medicine and quickly realized that at the time, medicine was very much about putting a patch on the outside and not about true wellness. And my passion has always been optimal well-being, healthy aging. How do we be the best that we can be? So along the journey, I studied nutrition. I thought this is absolutely fantastic. It was just a part of the picture. I did a PhD in the exercise science, looking at stress management. And again, this is brilliant, but it's just a part of the picture. And then I found functional medicine, which is about understanding what goes wrong in the person's body that they then develop the disease. So my clinical practice became focused largely actually working with chronic skin conditions. And it was purely just coincidence because those were the patients who were not getting results medically. And they were searching for solutions. And they ended up with me. I used a holistic approach centered around the gut and inflammation, which we're going to be talking about, and had some fantastic results. And then almost 6 years ago, decided it was time for an adventure. So I moved to the UK, found this job, and it just fits everything perfectly. My passion for skin health, which is a reflection of general well-being, general health, healthy aging, my love of research, my personal passion for planet health. Everything is it just provides or meets everything all of my requirements.
Together. Brilliant. Because of course we know that there's three, I know that there's three core values when talking to Double IAA. And you've mentioned one in terms of planet health. There's also the skin health. And then of course with that, there's the scientific research. So it seems as though you probably tick every box of those. How, being a scientist and given your clinical background, how do you actually bring those three core values to life?
So I think if we look first at skin health, of course, we want the best possible results. And really that needs the foundation of an understanding of skin. One needs to understand skin physiology. You need to understand pathophysiology. So what goes wrong in the skin that the person develops disease? Because if we don't understand all of those pathways, we can't develop the right products. So I think the solid foundation in medicine and science gives that base of understanding of how the skin works. But I think what's also really important in developing products is following a scientific process. Because if we want products that work, we need evidence. And that comes in right from the beginning of designing the product. So reviewing the published literature and knowing how to review published literature. Because just because it's published doesn't actually mean that it's good.
Yes.
To know what's the latest research in understanding this disease? What do we need to treat this disease? What would be the best ingredients, but not just vitamin B? What form of vitamin B? What dose of vitamin B? Just as an example. So using science to really design the best products and also knowing what different ingredients work in synergy together. Yeah. Because what I found clinically is the more pathways we target, the more effective we can be. So if we just pick one ingredient and target one pathway, sure, we'll have results. But if we target multiple pathways with ingredients that work synergistically together, we're going to have the best results. Yes. And really, one has to understand the science to be able to design those. And then one goes that next step. If we really want good products, we want to see the results that they work. Often people choose or design products based on reviewing literature. They don't test the finished product. So we want to see the evidence that that finished product is doing what we want it to do. So that brings in that next layer of science. And how does one design a trial to get good scientific results?
I love that. That's really interesting. And I can actually see the connection between skin health and that scientific research. But of course, one of the other core values is planet health. And actually, I know from working with Double IAA for such a long time that you really put your money where your mouth is in relation to that. So how has that become a core value, and how do you live and breathe that?
That is definitely a strong core value. And I think that originates from David and Tracy and their passion for, David's a really amazing photographer. And the passion for being in the environment and the impact on the environment. And with the beauty industry being one of the major producers of pollution and plastics. One of the things that I've learned is that it's actually really difficult and really expensive to develop products that are planet friendly and package products. So we spend a lot of energy and time and money finding the best possible packaging. And we're continually evolving because manufacturers have to catch up. They have to get up to speed. What packaging can we choose that uses recycled ingredients, that is most easily recyclable? And we're continually evolving. So, for example, when we get to the microbiomes or the biomes, they're all in the aluminium blister packs. So as much as possible, we try to use monomaterials and recycled materials. And whether it's the cardboard or the container or the ink, every single thing is thought of and made as environmentally or planet health conscious as possible.
I absolutely love that. And for our listeners who don't know who David and Tracy are, they're actually the founders at Double IAA. So let's talk about actually the subject that we came here to discuss. And in preparation for the podcast, we did a little bit of a poll, I should say. Where am I from? A poll in terms of what our customers thought. So we asked them 4 questions, and the 4 questions that we asked them was, do you want skin that works from scalp to soles? And 100% of our respondents said yes,
right?
Which I guess isn't a surprise. We then asked them, are you interested in improving your gut health? And again, 100% of respondents said yes, which was a little bit surprising for me because I didn't think it'd be that high.
And actually, if we look, because I've been speaking on gut health at conferences for years, and it's at the beginning, there was a lot of hesitation and suspicion, and over the years, it's been improving, but that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good. But then linked to that one as well, which is, again, I found quite interesting, is we asked, do you know that your gut and skin are linked? And actually only 82% yes.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. So 100% are interested in gut health, but actually only 82% saw the link. And then the final question, which again is really important and why we're having the conversation today, is do you want to learn how nutrition affects your skin? And 100% said yes.
Great.
I mean, I know we've got a very engaged audience and they are interested in their skin. An educated
audience.
Yes. But again, I thought the results were fascinating. So let's try and cover some of those questions from the poll as we talk. And let's start by talking about Advanced Nutrition Program. Perfect. So I mentioned earlier that Advanced Nutrition Program is one of Double IAA's brands.
Yes.
So can you introduce the brand to us? And then can you also let me know what it stands for?
Sure. So Double IAA has always been at the forefront of skincare and skin health and wants the best possible results for clients and therapists. And in the early 2000s, there was a lot of research coming out showing the impact of various ingredients, supplements, vitamins on skin health. And so it was an absolute no-brainer that we had to start a skincare range, because if we want the best possible results, we have to have a supplement range. So in 2006, Advanced Nutrition Program was born. We've dedicated immense time and effort to creating the best supplements specifically for skin.
So you say it was born then, but I know that you put an awful lot of effort into actually developing new products, and we'll talk about new product development in a bit. What was the thought process before that? Had you already started thinking about products, or do you think actually, no, 2006, we're going to launch this and then do some research?
It started before.
Yes. I was going to say.
Yeah, we started before. It's always, I mean, if we look at how long it takes to develop a product, we're talking years and years, particularly if one wants a really solid science-based product, because to go through all of that literature, to design the best product, to find the ingredients that, and this actually links into some of the core values, which we'll come to, it takes time. And then to do all the testing. So yeah, it's not a, right, let's do it, let me launch tomorrow. It
and
takes
just
time.
out of interest, because I don't know, what was the first product you launched?
Oh, no, that is a good question that I have to look up for you.
You can't remember it. We'll find out and we'll tell you later.
I only joined 6 years ago,
yes.
so this is testing
I was just wondering what was the first one, and whether actually sometimes, you know, the original products are still really part of those core hero products, aren't they? So I was just interested. I was being nosy.
I'm interested now.
Yeah, we'll find out. We'll ask David or Tracy. I guess at the heart of what AMP, we always talk about AMP here at Face the Future. So that's Advanced Nutrition Program. We shorten everything. Yes. There's so many supplement brands out there. And at its heart, Advanced Nutrition Program is a supplement brand.
Yes.
So how actually do you stand out from the noise?
Yeah. And this links into the core principles, which actually align very closely to Double IAA's core principles. And so we're doing science, results, quality. Everything is scientifically based. We're understanding skin physiology, skin pathophysiology. We're choosing our ingredients, the doses, the forms based on evidence. And consumers are much more savvy now. They know what to look for, and they're looking for that evidence, which is great. Quality has to do with the choice of ingredients. So it's not about just getting the cheapest one. It's about getting good quality ingredients, linking into planet health. So what is the provenance of that ingredient? So if we're looking at our fish oils, we're very specific, or our omegas, very specific about exactly which fish they come from. So we know where everything came from, what's the pathway to get to us, what's the impact on the environment, also what's the quality of that active. Because we all take the products and we don't want to put anything in our bodies that isn't good for us. Linked into quality is testing. So we do a lot of third-party testing, way more than is required, to look for any baddies that shouldn't be there. And we test throughout not just the initial ingredients, but also at manufacture and throughout the lifespan of the product. So quality is essential, both in the ingredient choice, but also in the manufacturing process. So we've, again, gone above what we need to do. All of our manufacturing is GMP standards, pharma grade, and our warehouse is actually FDA approved, which isn't required, but it's important to us. So it's that quality of production, it's a science-based design, but also that emphasis on results, so that people know that what they're getting is going to work. I think it is challenging. There's so much noise on supplements, and it is so difficult to choose. I mean, when I moved here from South Africa, I couldn't get any of the supplements I used to have, and I had to start from scratch. And it was overwhelming for me, even knowing what I was looking for. So I think it's really about finding that brand that has the principles that one trusts. And also, different supplements are made for different purposes. So if one's pregnant, get a supplement that's made by people who understand pregnancy. If you want a supplement for skin, get supplements that are made by people who understand skin.
I think you made a really good point there about, not all two things are the same. We know that across the board, don't we? So, you wouldn't go into a supermarket and you see some fresh fruit. You wouldn't buy the one that looks as though it's out of date or hasn't been produced very well. You choose a different one. And it's just then how you relay that then to products to supplement. It is really, really difficult, as you say. Let's then talk about the skin-gut axis that I mentioned earlier, because a lot of our listeners won't have heard of that before. So can you explain that to me? And then also explain how the gut and the skin communicates. Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. It's a fascinating area of research, and it's growing so fast. The impact of the gut on the systemic well-being is very well established. And there's a very clear connection with brain health. So science talks about the gut-brain axis. And now we're starting to get a lot of research linking gut and skin. So there are thousands of articles that link the two. And they're starting to talk now about the gut-skin axis. And actually, science is now moving to the place where we're talking gut-brain-skin axis. Okay. And frankly, I think we're going to get to the point where we don't talk axes because everything just impacts everything else. But we do have this gut-skin axis, and that's bidirectional. So what that means is the health of our gut impacts our skin, and the health of our skin impacts our gut.
Okay, that's interesting.
So how does it work? That's a really good question. So in the gut, we've got the gut microbiome, which we're going to come to. The health of that gut microbiome impacts our immune system, our neurological system, our hormone system. If we look at our immune system, 80% of our immune system is actually in the gut.
Wow.
And that is tightly regulated by the health of the gut. And if we think how our immune system affects our whole body health, but also the health of our skin, if that gut health is dysregulated, it's going to impact the immune system, which then affects our skin. That immune system is also closely linked to inflammation. When the gut is out of balance, we get inflammation, which accelerates aging, affects skin health. Gut's regulating our hormones, and we know our hormones affect our skin. It's regulating our nervous system. The gut microbiome also makes things called short-chain fatty acids, which affect the whole body, impacting the skin.
And what are they?
So those are, we're kind of doing a circle here.
Okay.
But those are things like butyrate. So basically what happens is all the bugs in the gut eat food. And when they've eaten the food, they make different products. And some of the products they make are these short-chain fatty acids, which are then absorbed into the body and then have an effect on the health of the entire body. But what's interesting is they also make neurotransmitters. So things like GABA, serotonin, dopamine, those feel-good hormones are actually made by the bacteria in our gut. So that's why the gut is so important to feeling good. But those neurotransmitters and other hormones impact our skin as well. So the gut health is tightly regulating all of the systems in the body, which then impacts the skin.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I did know that the gut affected the skin, but I didn't know that the skin then in reverse affected the gut, because actually I thought the skin, obviously is our protection, stopping things getting in. I'm thinking, how does your skin then actually affect the gut? I mean, that's just fascinating.
It is. And that actually moves on to a whole breaking area of research, which is fantastic. So part of that has to do with our vitamin D, which we know is made in the skin, which in fact impacts the gut. So we know well that systemic or general health impacts skin. Systemic inflammation impacts skin. But what research is now showing is that inflammation in skin, those inflammatory molecules can actually get into the systemic circulation and accelerate aging of the body.
Oh, I was going to ask you about aging because I'm really interested in that.
Aren't we all? Healthy aging. But
Active aging.
But so inflammation of the skin accelerates aging of the whole body. And some of the research has actually shown that through hydrating skin, we reduce inflammation in the skin and reduce systemic inflammation and can actually delay cognitive decline in the elderly.
Wow.
Just through hydrating our skin.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Which just changes everything. So instead of working with skin as potentially a aesthetic, superficial thing, it's actually critical to our systemic well-being and our aging process because skin is our largest organ in the body.
Wow. Well, I knew it was the largest organ, but I guess even I didn't realize how critical it was to overall health.
Yeah.
Let's explore that a little bit more then. So we've talked about the gut, and obviously the gut has a microbiome.
Yeah.
And we know that the skin has a microbiome as well. So how does the microbiome of the skin actually physically impact the microbiome of the skin?
So first, I suppose if we take a step back to what is the microbiome? So the body has a microbiome, and a microbiome is that collection of bacteria, fungi, viruses that live in different areas of the body. And different areas will have different microbiomes. So you'll have a specific group of microbes that live in the gut, and then another group that live on the skin, and then another group that live on the nose. And the gut microbiome is the largest and the most diverse. They've identified thousands of species of bacteria, but estimated over 30 trillion microorganisms.
Wow.
I mean, it weighs 1 to 2 kilograms. So when you stand on the scale, you know that 2 of those kilograms are the bugs that are living in your gut.
I don't know if anybody still likes to talk about them as bugs.
True, but that is what they are.
They are.
So how do they communicate with our skin microbes? We feed the microbes in the gut. So when we eat food, that is the nutrition that's feeding those bacteria. Those bacteria then break that down to create those postbiotics that I mentioned, the short-chain fatty acids, the neurotransmitters. That whole system, so the gut microbiome is really keeping the gut healthy. It's regulating that neurological system, the hormone system. It's managing inflammation. Now, all of those factors are going to adjust the health of the skin. Sebum production, hydration, skin barrier function. And as sebum changes, the skin microbiome changes. As the skin barrier changes, so that skin microbiome changes. So through changing the immune system as well, there are various antimicrobial proteins that change the gut, the skin microbiome. And then also there's some species or strains of bacteria that live both in the gut and on the skin. And they can actually communicate indirectly, but they do communicate. So through kind of all the mechanisms, the gut microbiome is impacting the skin microbiome.
And you mentioned there about sebum. That then is just the oil of the skin, isn't it?
That's
just
right.
For our listeners.
And interestingly on that, so in different parts of the skin, you'll have different types of bacteria. So some bacteria need an oily environment to live in, whereas others need a drier environment, a less oily environment.
Brilliant. And you mentioned then that obviously the health of our gut affects the health of our skin. So is there some clear links between gut health and specific skin conditions, like rosacea or eczema or psoriasis?
There absolutely is.
Right.
And actually, if I look clinically, that was why my clinical practice was working. Every single patient, I focused particularly on chronic eczema. Every single patient had gut dysbiosis, which is when there's a disruption of the gut microbiome, and they all got better when we treated it. Wow. Well, when they followed the rules and did what I asked them to do. But yes, so I think, so if we start with acne, there's a very clear link with acne. Okay. So if we think acne, we've got increased sebum, hyperkeratinization, inflammation, and a disrupted skin microbiome. And our gut microbiome is going to impact all of those. So definitely through inflammation, definitely through impacting the immune system, which is going to impact the skin immune system and then the skin microbiome. But one of the key areas has to do with our hormones. And what's super interesting is that bacteria, some of the bacteria in the gut, or some specific types of bacteria, actually can metabolize different hormones.
Okay.
So when the gut bacteria are out of balance, we tend to have increased reabsorption of androgens and decreased reabsorption of estrogens. And androgens are the hormones that are stimulating sebum production. Estrogens help to balance it. So with this gut dysbiosis, we're getting more androgen production, so more sebum. We're also getting more stress. So inflammation causes cortisol. Cortisol increases androgens and increases sebum production. And we're getting increased insulin and insulin-like growth factor, which also increases hyperkeratinization and increases sebum production. So pretty much in every single pathway or thing that happens with acne is increased when we have disruption of the gut microbiome.
Yeah. And so I'm assuming that's the same for every skin condition.
Absolutely. And it's subtly different because obviously if we're looking at eczema, it's more dehydrated skin that's more inflamed, with more of a disrupted barrier. So it's a different bacteria on the skin. You don't get the hyperkeratinization. There isn't the increased sebum. So the mechanisms are different. But again, immune dysfunction, inflammation, poor barrier. I mean, if we look at rosacea, again, immune dysfunction, inflammation, vasodilatory or sort of neurovascular abnormalities. So with rosacea, you're seeing that dilation of the blood vessels, so that increased redness. That's exaggerated.
Yes.
With the gut dysbiosis. So the themes for all of the skin conditions.
When you were in practice and you were actually speaking to people that came to you with the different skin conditions, in your experience, how long does it actually take? And is there a rough time frame in terms of someone comes to you with a certain concern, you identify what you believe to be the issue, and then you say people follow the program. How long does it take from following the program to actually see the visible impact on the skin?
That's a very difficult question to answer. And the reason it's difficult is because everyone's an individual. So it's going to depend on the severity of the condition. It's going to depend on what are all the factors that led to the condition. And it's going to depend on how well someone follows the rules.
Yes.
But as a general rule, if we're looking things that require immune change or that are impacted by the immune system, you're going to see results in 2 to 4 weeks. If there's a skin barrier problem, the body's going to need to be building and forming a new barrier. And there we're looking 3 to 4 months. When I prescribed omegas, you generally see a change in skin texture within a week. With probiotics, one can often see a very rapid change. But if we're looking at resolution of the full skin condition, again, it's still going to depend on the condition. So let's say one's looking at acne, which is hormonal. If one's going through a hormonal phase, that's very tricky because one will go through the cycles. Let's say you're looking at eczema. Generally, with these chronic conditions, they've developed over a long period of time. So it's never going to be an overnight solution. Yeah. But what I found was if we do 3 months intensive, so that's been very obedient, very strict, very boring, one tends to get back to balance. It can take a year for the gut to fully get back to balance. But generally, you'll be seeing really good results within 3 months. But then there's a process of slowly reintroducing the things that... So, for example, one of the reasons I got into eczema was because I have a tendency to get eczema. Okay. And I researched it to work out how to cure. I mean, and one always has a tendency to eczema, but how to help my skin, which I did very effectively. I had to cut out dairy and wheat strictly for 3 months. And then I could start to reintroduce it again. But one starts reintroducing really slowly to just observe the impact on the body and the skin. Within 3 months, one should be seeing improvements or significant improvements, but one needs that follow through and that consistency.
Does it vary by age as well? Because I know that when you typically talk about skin regeneration, the older you get, the longer it takes for your skin to regenerate. Is that the same in terms of the health of the gut?
That's a good question. And I'd actually need to look and see if there are any papers on that. But if we think logically, a lot of restoring the health of the gut is about restoring a healthy microbiome. And actually with age, one's microbiome does start to get a little less diverse. So yeah, the answer is probably yes. One needs a little bit longer.
Yes.
Everything seems to just take a little slower as it gets older.
So does that mean then that a healthy gut could actually help slow the aging process down? I'm asking because I'm very interested.
Most definitely.
Okay.
And for multiple different reasons. If we look at what are the underlying mechanisms of aging, one of the key mechanisms is inflammation. I mean, and it's so well established that we're talking about inflammaging. And the most important thing in regulating inflammation, gut health. Yeah. So as we heal our gut and keep a healthy gut, we're managing systemic inflammation, which will delay the aging process. The gut bacteria and the things they produce, so those short-chain fatty acids and the hormones, help decrease stress on skin. Yeah. Short-chain fatty acids increase collagen production, increase hyaluronic acid production, create a healthier skin barrier. So all of those things that help to slow the aging process and lead to healthier skin. Increase antioxidant defense. So it really is a no-brainer.
Yeah. So I need to start taking better care of my gut.
Yes, your gut wants love and care.
Yes, it doesn't want chocolate and crisps, does it?
Well, you know what? I think life is also to be enjoyed.
Absolutely.
So I tend to follow an 80-20 rule. Do it right 80% of the time. Cheat 20% of the time. But when you cheat, do it consciously. So let's say, because we know sugar is not great for the gut microbiome. So make sure we don't have those sugars that are kind of just included in things where we could have something that doesn't have sugar. Yeah. And then when we do have sugar, enjoy that piece of cheesecake or that chocolate cake. So do it consciously. Do it right most of the time, but then, enjoy it.
Absolutely. And of course, as you say, we can help our gut in other ways as well. I mean, we'll talk about the whole balance between nutrition and diet and exercise and things like that later on. But one of the things that I came across when I was researching for the podcast, it was a term, and it is biosphere.
Yes.
And I've never come across that before. So can you explain to me and to our listeners what that actually is?
So that's really a term just to understand the whole picture of the gut microbiome. Because I've mentioned the food that we're giving that feeds the bacteria. I've mentioned the bacteria, and then I've mentioned the stuff that the bacteria are making. So if we use the analogy of a garden, so our prebiotics, those are like a fertilizer. Those are the food we're feeding the bacteria. The bacteria themselves are the probiotics. Okay. Those are like the plants. Yeah. And then the postbiotics, those are those short-chain fatty acids and the things that the bacteria are making. That's like the flowers. Okay. So we need to, it's essential in a garden. You've got to fertilize the plants to be able to have beautiful flowers. So if we want a healthy body, we want to manage inflammation, we need healthy plants, so good bacteria, but we need to be fertilizing them and giving them the right food.
Okay. So actually pro and postbiotics are all really important. It's not one over the other.
Yes.
That's interesting because actually, again, when you see adverts, they talk about prebiotics all the time, don't they? And you don't often see things around the postbiotics.
And postbiotics, we don't really need to worry about because the bacteria will make them. Yeah. But we need to be making sure we put in enough prebiotics and enough probiotics
to do it. So let's then talk about Advanced Nutrition's Biome supplements then, because that links in really nicely to all of the biotics. So talk me through the different types of Biome supplements that you have and then how they are effective for different skin conditions.
Yes, perfect. So our ANP team, Advanced Nutrition Program team, are really our experts at creating microbiome products and understanding the skin microbiome. So we have two biome products. We've got Skin Youth Biome, which is patent pending, and we've got Skin Clear Biome, which has a UK patent. So Skin Youth Biome was developed specifically for aging skin. And when I say that, what I mean is when we were developing it, we were reviewing the research that linked specific strains of bacteria to outcomes related to skin aging. So it was designed specifically to support aging skin. So there are 6 probiotics, and actually technically it's 4 probiotics and 2 postbiotics that support aging skin. So support the gut. But what's great is anytime you take a probiotic, it's still going to affect your whole body's health, not just the skin. But when we ran the clinical trial, we ran a 12-week trial. So just take a little step back on our trials. When we do a trial, it's important to know if the product we're testing works. So we're really strict. So people will come, they're not allowed to change their diet. They're not allowed to change their skincare regime. They're not allowed to go on a summer holiday. If they do, they're fired. So the only thing that's different is the product they're testing. And that's the only way we'll be able to know that if a change we measure or what a change we measure is related to. So they were taking Skin Youth Biome only, just 1 capsule a day for 12 weeks. We tested 19 people and we'd identified 7 key signs of aging. And every single person had an improvement in one of those signs of aging. 97% improved in hydration. We had significant improvement or massive improvements in transepidermal water loss, decreases in wrinkles.
What does that mean?
Oh,
sorry.
Sorry. It's an indicator of skin barrier health. So the purpose of the skin barrier is to keep things out and to keep water and other things in. And when our barrier is disrupted, the body starts to lose water through that barrier. And that's called transepidermal. So across the epidermis, water loss. And that's an indication that skin is becoming dehydrated.
Okay.
So what we're seeing, if there's an improvement in transepidermal water loss, that's saying that the skin barrier is becoming more healthy.
Okay.
And that healthy skin barrier is what helps to increase hydration and decrease inflammation and decrease aging. So the results were really interesting. But what was also particularly interesting in that trial, and this is the bit I get most excited about, is we did a blood test to look at inflammation. Okay. And of those 19 people, 5 had very high inflammation levels. So obviously when one has a disease or an illness, your inflammation is going to be high. So these people didn't have anything obvious. And over the trial, the systemic inflammation measured with a blood test decreased just from taking one probiotic capsule a day.
Wow.
So yeah, that of course made me, the nerd, very excited.
I do find things like that fascinating. And of course, you develop a product for a specific reason in mind. But of course, if there's additional benefits, then it's a plus, isn't it?
Completely. And if we go back to what we were talking about aging, where the key mechanism is inflammation, if we want to be improving how we age, targeting inflammation is probably one of the most important processes.
Absolutely. And what about skin clear biome then? Because I know that's the one that came out second, didn't it? Yes.
So skin clear biome is developed specifically for problem skin. So again, we reviewed the literature and chose strains that we knew would support inflammation, support various problem skin. So acne, eczema, psoriasis, rosacea, that we've seen to decrease redness, decrease breakouts in acne, and improve those inflammatory skin conditions.
Brilliant. Would you ever take both?
Oh, I do take both.
I take both. That's why when you were saying that, I was thinking, I got the youth biome because obviously I think, I wanted to help me with my aging, but my daughter actually does suffer from rosacea, and the clear biome was recommended by the customer service team downstairs. And she's been taking it, and it's amazing. But then I started taking both. So why would you take both then? Why do you take both?
Why do I take both? So with gut health and the gut microbiome, the more the merrier. So it's not just about one strain of bacteria. There's like a family of them. There's a whole diverse range of bacteria that we need because they all do different things. And so the greater the range we have of bacteria that we know are going to be good for us, the better.
And then in terms of the two biomes, how would you say that they work harder than other probiotics that are on the market? Because you can buy probiotic drinks, you can do lots of different things, can't you, to get those probiotics in?
So I think firstly, again, we need to go back to what is the purpose of the probiotic. So you'll get probiotics that are designed specifically for children, or those that are designed for after antibiotic use. Our probiotics are designed for skin. So again, designed by people who understand skin for skin health. But then it links back to the Advanced Nutrition Program principles. It's like, how are we making the products? So the science, how have we chosen the strains? So chosen based on literature. But a lot, I think, of probiotics comes down to quality of manufacture. So we've chosen strains that are acid resistant, which means they can go through the gut or through the stomach without being destroyed by stomach acid.
Brilliant.
Nitrogen flush. So bacteria are very sensitive and they're destroyed by oxygen. So when we pack them in aluminium little pods that get nitrogen flushed. So it's stable and it can last and it doesn't need to be refrigerated. And then it's also about testing, because what a lot of manufacturers do is they'll test how much there is at the time of making the product. But frankly, I'm not interested in that. I want to know how much I'm taking or how much is in it when I'm taking it. So we test throughout the lifespan of the product up to the best before date. Okay. So we know that the amount we say on pack is at best before date, not at manufacture. Okay. So we can guarantee that's when one is getting at least what we've stated. So it really comes down to the science of developing the product, of proving the results, but then also the quality of the manufacturing process and of the product.
Brilliant. Well, our customers love the Biomes.
Good.
And I've just got one review for each of them, just so that our listeners can see the effect that this is having for, real life customers. So in relation to the Skin Clear Biome, I've got a review here from Catherine from East Grinstead to say that I was advised to use this product by the customer services team as I was still getting the odd breakout. But since taking these tablets, I've seen vast improvements. I continue to take one a day and I've had no breakout for several months.
Brilliant.
So that's exactly what we wanted, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
and that's what we see a lot. Yeah.
And then in relation to Skin Youth Biome, to be fair, I could have done this one, but I didn't. It was from Margaret in Northampton, saying that she's been using this product for a number of years and very impressed with the positive effect it's having on her skin, giving her a clearer, brighter, less wrinkled appearance.
Fabulous.
And we all want that, don't we?
Do.
So our customers love AMP, and I think from the conversations we've had, that I love AMP. If you shook me, I think I'd rattle at AMP. So I love new product development, but then also I don't, because then I have to add in something else into my routine because I can't resist.
Well, my handful is like, now this.
I know, it's like, how many tablets can I take in once? In fact, I can actually put 6 in my mouth now and take. That's how good I am. Yeah, with that point.
I can only do one.
Oh, can you? Oh no, I've got much better. Mind you, they're really easy to take, aren't they?
Especially those little soft gels.
Yes, yeah. To be fair, I think they're all quite easy to take. But talking about new product development, I want to talk about the Skin Integrate 28,
yes,
which is something that you brought out this year.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about it? And I'd be really interested to know how you were actually involved in its development.
Yeah. So this is a very exciting product. So we know the established literature on the probiotics and the biomes, but the more research is coming out is talking about the importance of the prebiotics. So providing food for the bacteria, because it's all very well taking the bacteria themselves, but we need to make sure that they're fed. So it's like inviting guests to dinner and then giving them terrible food. Like, we want to give them good food to keep them healthy and happy. Yeah. That led to Skin Integrate 28. It took actually about 7 years to develop. Wow. We've got 48 peer-reviewed papers. There are 28 ingredients. So it's a mixture of plant-based polyphenol fibers, some amino acids, a couple other actives that all just support gut health and skin health. And we designed it as a powder just so that it's easy to use. In fact, it is so easy. One can drink it. You can put it in yogurt. You can put it in soup. It's fantastic. I wouldn't put it in eggs. They look very green, but still taste quite good. So I was fortunate to be involved in the majority of the process, from the conceptualization and pushing to include a powder, because obviously that's new for us. We've always just made capsules, to designing what do we want this to do? How do we best feed the bacteria in our guts? What ingredients would work together the best? And then it's that tricky thing of how do you find the right ratios? And with a powder, it actually has to taste good. So it's not like a capsule where you can just, theoretically choose the right ratios. With a powder, you have to slowly fine tune the best ratios to get the performance that you want, but then also the flavor that you want. And of course, we don't put in sugar or sweeteners or flavorings or anything like that.
Really tricky.
Yeah. The right color, the right dissolvability.
Yes.
So I was involved from start to finish.
That's really, really, really good. So I'm going to go off tangent here, only because when you were talking about how you can actually take it, and you talked about, you can take it with your yogurt or you can mix it into things. Am I still right in thinking that to really maximize supplements that you take, you shouldn't, because I've heard people say, I'll just mix it into my coffee. Am I right in thinking if you really want maximum effect, you shouldn't be taking any form of caffeine or alcohol? And I thought, oh gosh, when am I going to take mine? I can't take it in the morning because I have my tea. At night, a glass of wine. That you shouldn't really be taking any type of caffeine or alcohol an hour before and an hour after. Is that still best practice?
Of course. I mean, so caffeine is a stimulant. It changes how things are absorbed from the gut. You're definitely not going to take your supplements with a glass of champagne.
Wouldn't that be nice?
But I think we also need to be realistic. So what is the best time to take them? Whenever you remember, whenever you can be consistent.
Yes.
But if we do want the best effect, take it with the main meal. Because if we're looking at any supplement is containing isolated nutrients and vitamins and minerals, and they're best absorbed together with other things. Fat-soluble vitamins need fat to be absorbed. So if we have them with a main meal, all those other nutrients from our food are helping the absorption of the supplements. Yeah. The only thing we say is don't have them with, or particularly with the biomes, don't have them with something very hot, because, we want to give those little guys the best chance to survive, but really find the system that works, and have with food and ideally a main meal.
Yeah. When I first started taking my supplements, not long after I joined Face the Future, because I actually did the Advanced Nutrition Training Program to learn more about the products. And that's when I was told I wasn't allowed to have it with my coffee and I wasn't allowed to have it with alcohol. And so I thought, actually, you know what? I am going to take it on a morning. And actually, I started feeling a little bit queasy because it wasn't with a main meal. I'd take it and then I'd come into work and I'd maybe have my breakfast once I got into work. And I did start to feel a bit queasy. And it was Lorraine, one of your colleagues, when I was explaining that to her, she's like, Julia, you need to take it with food. And now I take it on an evening and no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
So take it with food and not with your coffee or your champagne.
On an empty stomach.
On an empty stomach, yes. So one of the things that I always struggle with in the industry that we work in, and I'm sure it's the same for lots of industries, is how much information there is out there. And I suppose the flip side of that, how much misinformation there is out there. So when we're talking about gut health, is there any real misinformation out there that you really want to rectify and say, actually, this is just not true?
There's nothing that's come up as an obvious misinformation. But I think there is a lack of good information. And I think there's a lack of understanding of, firstly, what is the impact? What is the importance of the gut? But secondly, what is going to impact the gut? So I don't think it's that people are believing the wrong thing. It's just that they're not knowing the right thing. From a dietary perspective, like what are the things we should be avoiding? So alcohol affects the health of the gut microbiome, sugar, refined foods. So we need that healthy, diverse, colorful food as close to nature as possible to start to feed our gut. Yes. Stress impacts gut health. Lack of sleep impacts gut health. So kind of that holistic approach to having a healthy gut. Yes. But then as we've been talking about how important it is to have a healthy gut for healthy systemic health, for healthy aging, for healthy skin.
Yeah. I think maybe I'm showing my age now, but I know that some of the things that I used to hear was, you just have a detox tea every day and you'll be fine. I'm like, not sure that that's
okay.
right.
Well, now we're getting on to lots of things. So detoxes. Yeah, let's just have a 3-day detox.
Yes. And then it'll all be fine. Or the other one that used to get said to me quite frequently, I'm sorry I'm being a bit personal now, is if you didn't go to the bathroom every day, you had an unhealthy gut. And I'm thinking, well, I know now that that's not the case because everybody is different. And then again, when we started seeing more adverts around the prebiotic drinks, it was like, well, you can do what you want as long as you have a prebiotic drink. Like, no.
Okay, now those are really good points. So absolutely. So on the last one, absolutely not. Prebiotic drinks are important, but you still have to. Everyone, and in terms of going to the bathroom, everyone is different. But one shouldn't be going every few days. One needs a little bit faster turnover, and that means one's not getting in enough fiber. Yeah. So ideally, it is once a day.
Yes.
But everyone's an individual.
Yes. Yes. One of our members of the team will be very interested in that. I won't name any names. So let's look ahead then, because I'm always excited about what's coming next. So what do you think the next big breakthrough will be? And you talked earlier about maybe we wouldn't talk about skin health and gut health and brain health separately. What do you think the next big breakthrough will be in terms of the relationship between them?
Yeah, I think we will be talking separately about all the different pathways, but I think we'll have a better understanding of how it all works together. Where it's going to be going next is just a really deeper understanding of the communities of the microbiome, what makes up the microbiome and how they communicate. So how they're communicating with the skin microbiome, how they're communicating with the brain, really understanding even within that what the different strains are doing, what the different languages are that each one is speaking. And I think we'll also, medicine's becoming much more personalized, which is fantastic. And I think as we start to integrate individual genetic testing with immune understanding and a microbiome, we're going to start to develop individual, almost like fingerprints of that individual. And when we understand what the ideal is, so what specific bacteria are, the impact that specific bacteria are having, how they're communicating, and what someone's fingerprint is, we'll have a much better understanding of how it's impacting them as an individual and their health as an individual. And then one can start to give much more focused and targeted support plans.
Yes. Okay. So for our listeners, is there any general advice? I know it's difficult because we've just talked about personalized. Is there any general advice beyond taking supplements that they can do in terms of changing maybe their lifestyle or what they eat or anything like that that will really help their gut health?
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, I think in terms of diet, we need to think that we've got guests in our digestive system, and are we giving them an appropriate dinner? Making sure that we are getting high fiber foods, a range of colors, getting in all those nutrients and that will help support and feed our probiotics. So that's cutting down on the sugars and the refined foods. Those are feeding the bad guys, not the good guys. So as much as possible, really bringing in that healthier diet. Hydration. Good hydration is important. And then for me, a big one is stress. There's no point saying don't stress. That's never going to happen. We are all going to be exposed to stress. But as much as possible, bring in things like breathing practices, which have been shown to physiologically, in fact, my PhD was on this, so it's not woo-woo. Look, specific slow breathing actually changes what's happening in the brain and calms down the stress response. And that has a massive impact on creating a healthy environment in our guts.
I wonder if that's why people say just breathe.
Yep.
Just breathe. Yeah. It's interesting. In terms of nutrition then, years ago it used to be 5 a day, then it changed to 7 a day. And then I think I was reading something a couple of months ago that was saying, ignore the 5 a day and ignore the 7 a day. You need to be eating 30 different types of fruits and vegetables. And I guess that links into what you were saying around that colourful diet. Is it about variety or is it about volume?
Variety. Yeah. Because if we think about it, each different food is made up of different things. Yeah. And a lot of the foods, so if we're looking at what's the optimal food for bacteria, it's not just fiber. There are, like apple contains pectin, which is an important prebiotic. Onions, different foods contain different actives and different that will support the gut health. So the more diverse we can be, the more opportunity, the more ingredients we're giving to the body to support all those different bacteria in the gut.
Yeah. Fabulous. And you mentioned a minute ago when we started talking about looking ahead that you think we'll always talk about gut health, skin health, and brain health separately as well. But then we do need to talk about how it's all connected.
Yeah.
Specifically within the health and beauty industry, or even if we talk about health and wellness.
Yeah.
Do you actually think that we'll ever get to the point where skin and gut is always considered together in terms of health?
We're definitely moving in that direction. And I think people with an understanding are already there. The question is how well and how fast we can educate. I really hope we do, because that is the only way that we will get the optimal results that we want. Yeah. It's just the most effective. Yeah. I think we'll get there. It might take time, and I know certain communities are resistant to, but with education, we'll get there.
Yeah, brilliant. Fabulous. So in advance of this podcast, you sent us a question that you wanted us to ask our customers.
Yes.
Can you remember that
No,
one? No,
I can't remember the question.
I've got it, don't worry. It's always, it's a couple of weeks or months in advance sometimes.
I know,
isn't it?
it
I'm
is.
thinking, I can't believe we expect people to still remember. But the question was, tell us how changes in your diet, nutrition, or supplements has changed your skin and skin confidence. And I love the bit about the skin confidence. As usual, we've had loads and loads of customers and listeners respond to that question for us. And what I've done is I've just really collated them all into 4 key areas where I thought a lot of the responses were quite similar. So I'll be really interested to see whether there's any surprises here for you. So the first one was all around nutrition and supplements, which is what we've been talking about. And the fact that nutrition and supplements make their skin firmer, more glowy, and more radiant. No surprises,
No surprises.
I guess. So the second
but great
one,
that they're noticing it.
Noticing it, absolutely. The second one was specifically around people talking about collagen in particular, and that actually all the things that we would expect in terms of why somebody needs collagen or would take collagen supplements around, reduced fine line and wrinkles, more hydrated, plump skin. But actually some of the things that I didn't expect, and you may have done, is actually collagen actually helps with specific skin conditions as well. And we've had some of our listeners saying that actually it's helped them with psoriasis and it's helped them with their eczema. I found that quite
Interesting.
Maybe it's just a byproduct of having healthier skin. But I found that really interesting. Then actually more around healthy foods. And that's what you were talking about earlier, about making sure you're getting the right whole foods into your body. And lots of people saying that actually when they ate better and they actually included whole foods as opposed to processed foods in their diet, that the texture of their skin changed for the better.
Brilliant.
Expect. And then actually lots of people bringing everything together. So you mentioned about education, and I do think it's key, but actually loads of people saying that my skin feels the best that it ever is when actually I'm taking in water, I'm taking collagen, I'm being healthy, and I'm exercising. So that exercise bit being brought in as well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I just want to say on that exercise bit, I also teach a workshop on inflammation specifically. And when we exercise in appropriate amounts, the muscles actually release anti-inflammatory molecules. So appropriate exercise, aside from the other gazillion, improved blood flow and improved metabolism, is actually decreasing inflammation.
Brilliant. So actually it is about that balanced lifestyle, like you said, isn't it? Was there anything else that you were expecting?
No, but I'm really pleased that people are seeing the evidence of the lifestyle changes.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Because I think that's when we really start to get change, when people experience the changes and see the changes in themselves and other people.
Yeah. Well, we often talk, don't we, about feeding your skin from the inside out and actually nourishing our skin barrier. But I think one of the things that I took away from the responses from our customers and listeners is actually, I don't think there is such a thing, I'm going to make this up, but also we're nourishing the confidence barrier.
Yeah.
Because great skin gives you so much confidence.
Yeah.
We know how skin conditions have such a negative effect on people's confidence and mental health, but actually by eating properly, exercising, taking the right supplements, all of those things, we're actually increasing that skin barrier and the confidence barrier as well, which is really nice to hear from our customers. It's lovely. That brings us to the end of the podcast.
It does.
Thank you so. I know. Thank you so. It's been fascinating. We could talk for hours. Thank you so much for being here and talking so openly and honestly about the gut health and the skin health and the connection. I've learned so much, and I'm sure that, as things evolve, we'll continue to learn so much more. Thank you to our listeners for listening. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to us so you don't miss out on any future episodes. Also, if you want to explore any of the products that Dr. Gaby and I have talked about today in relation to the Advanced Nutrition Programme supplements, please do just visit our website or feel free to give our customer services team a call. They'll be really happy to help. So bye for now. Thank you for joining us and take care until next time. Thank you.
Bye.